Alright everybody, it's Disthunder from the Whoosh, and today, or tonight, man I always get that mixed up, whenever you're watching this, I'm going to rearrange my review schedule a little bit, and we're going to bump Predator for the next review, and that means we're going to do John Constantine right now. And here he is. This is John Constantine from the Mezco 112 Collective line. This is a deluxe version, although to my knowledge there's only one version of Constantine. But there you go. This figure comes to us loaded with accessories. I would say probably 50-60% new base body and one of the most clever head sculpt gimmicks I have ever seen. At this point in the DCU, I'm sure most of you are familiar with Constantine, be it from the TV show or from his own self-titled comic or his various other media appearances. For posterity though, I wanted to bring up he has been around since 1985, first appearing in Swamp Thing, created by the one and only Alan Moore. His solo book was the longest running title for the DC Vertigo imprint, and even got a movie featuring the ever-charming Keanu Reeves, but most of that stuff you already knew. I think his inclusion in 112 Collective is appropriately surprising and perfectly rational all at the same time. As we do the quick 360 look at the figure, his costume, if you want to call it that, obviously lends itself very easily to the Mezco 112 style. But I really think it's since his appearances in the post-New 52 reboot when he was part of Justice League Dark, and actually after leaving the Vertigo bubble, that Constantine became kind of a headline DC character. To try and summarize his nearly 40-year comic run in a 9-minute action figure review obviously would be a major disservice to the character and to you guys, so I won't do that. But if you get a chance, definitely go back and check out his 1980s Hellblazer anthology. It's been collected in trades more than a few times. And it's fun to see a character that references things like the Falklands War transform into a almost superheroic type character in the 2020s. And speaking of that, if any of you guys are Injustice 2 fans, you may want to play through and get the story ending for Raiden if you haven't already. Just saying. Let's start with head sculpts because this is exciting stuff. So you have two non-beat-up versions, Stoic here and then smiling on the figure. And then you have two beat-up versions, Stoic here, and then one with a little bit of a wise-ass grin right here. And because Mezco has brass balls, the man comes with his cigarettes. And not just a cigarette or one effect cigarette like this. He comes with them in various stages of smoking and extras for when you lose them. I noticed folks were having some trouble with using them in the head sculpt, so I'm going to try to demonstrate that on camera here. I know it could be kind of tricky, but I'll give it a shot. So all four head sculpts have a notch cut into the mouth on the left-hand side, the right side as you're looking at it here. What you want to do is take the head off the figure, put your thumb on his chin, and gently push down until that gap opens. And then you can slot it into place. If it's fighting with you, warm up the head a little bit with a hairdryer, like 30 seconds. And then conversely, when you're finished with it, you may want to do the same to close that gap because it may remain open a little bit the longer you leave the cigarettes in his mouth. My experience has been they revert back to standard in about 48 hours. Just don't stick them in the icebox or anything. Let's do weapons next because John comes with a surprising amount of weapons. We'll start here with the Moon Blade. I have to admit I'm not familiar with this one, but it's damn cool looking. You best believe I know the next one though. This is the Ace of Winchesters, with a working lever throw even. Some of you guys might know I'm a hardcore lever gun fanatic, so this thing is outstanding, and I love all the little touches in brass and brushed metal. Looks great. Then we have a Relic Cross, very similar to the one that's on the Bloodlines trade paperback cover. Next is the Twin Blade, which is really nice looking, but I remember it being more like a sword. It's probably a magical sword, so it can probably change length and stuff. Lastly, though, we have a chainsaw, which he infamously used to de-wing somebody. Don't want to spoil more than that. Next up, an essential piece of John's arsenal, his lighter. This one looks like it's maybe a little inspired by his movie version. You can buy replicas of these, by the way. Very cool. And since he needs it to light stuff, here is a lit version with a nice little fire effect sticking out the top. And like I mentioned, cigarettes, and lots of them. I showed you the one that's lit with a little bit of smoke trail on it. He comes with a baggie full in various stages, little bit lit, not lit, ashes falling off. Seriously, don't lose that bag. I almost lost it twice. Being a spellcaster and all, we got to talk about the man's hands. Let's start with these tarot card hands. How neat is that? I don't know tarot, but my wife does, and she says they're legit. Like the print, not tarot, you know what I mean. So I've got him set up here with a conjuring hand on the right side, and then one of the spell effects on the left side. These are neat in that they're multi-part, and as you can see, one band goes around the forearm, one goes around the wrist, and then you have an effect piece that goes over the top of the hand, splayed hand like this one here. I'm going to demonstrate it's easy to do even if you have giant sausage fingers. You just need to get those interlocked into the little grooves on the back side of the effect. Once it's on there, it's actually pretty secure, and then you can just pop it back on the wrist peg. You can also use those effect band pieces independently of the main effect, however you want to do it. He comes with two of these little conjured fire effects that fit into the palm of the semi-open or the gripping hands. I like little effects like these because they're easy to fit on a shelf and give them a little personality. We definitely have to talk articulation because thank God my man got double jointed elbows, and good ones at that. He's got an excellent range. He can double up and touch his bicep with his forearm. There is a good rotation at the shoulder. Sadly, you do have to get the coat off to really get the most out of it, but that's to be expected. Obviously, a ball joint on the head with a separate neck piece, which is my preferred way of doing it. There is a really good torso joint, not unlike Gomez in its range and swivel. And then really good range in the hips. These are definitely not Punisher or Star Trek hips. And to go along with that, as you'd expect, a solid double jointed knee. And there is also some boot cut action, which I don't show right here, but I will show it again in a minute when I remember. But overall, this is an excellent base body. I don't think it has the butterfly joints that Gomez has, but everything else is stellar, and of course the proportions are great. Coming back around for the boot cut now, but I want to point out how wonderfully disheveled this guy is. That inseam on the left side always wants to catch on the boot. I think that's on purpose. Goes along nicely with the half tucked in shirt and the loosened necktie. I just want to show you real quick, there is a bendy wire in the front leading edge of the coat, inside the belt, and also on the top of the collar, so you can pop it or lay it down, whatever helps him look the most hungover. For size comparison, here is Supreme Knight on the left side and Inkblot on the right. Another figure I slept on for way too long. He's amazing. Inkblot's shoulders are a little higher than Constantine, so I would say that puts John scale height 5'9", 5'10"-ish. And then here he is with Gomez and fellow tobacco enthusiast Commissioner Gordon. Shoulder to shoulder on these two, I suspect if there are any shared parts with anybody, it's likely Gomez. Obviously the upper torso is new, the arms are new, but there's a lot of similarity as far as like his size and his motion. Check out the ash almost falling off his cigarette there. Next to Gordon, again, you can see he is a little bit shorter, but he is definitely not making use of that Netflix Star Trek body, I don't think anywhere. As far as criticisms or nitpicks go, I have very little to work with here. The only thing I have would be maybe the jacket. And that's not to say the jacket itself actually looks really good. It's a great color. As I mentioned, it has some wire for dramatic posing. I just wish there was a little bit more room to it, like maybe in the back, so it would open up a little bit so he can get a little bit more posing with it on, because it's such a signature part of his look. It kind of sucks you have more fun with him with the coat off than on. And even with that, I noticed while I was filming, you could do the amazing hands in pocket pose trick. There's actually a pocket in the jacket, so you can put the wrist peg in there like he's got his hands tucked in his pockets. So this is an easy recommend. They really pulled out all the stops for John Constantine. From the tailoring to the effects pieces to the crazy head sculpts to this out-of-this-world action feature, if you want to call it that, with putting the smokes in his mouth, it's like nothing else I've seen. So it really feels like a lot of bang for his buck, and that is another attaboy from Esco Toys. Great job, and thank you so much for helping me get one for my own collection. As for you guys, if you haven't got him on order already, get on that wait list. I highly recommend him, and thanks for watching the video. And we'll talk again soon.